Okay, here we are. We're recording.
You've been cold.
Okay, so we'll start off, and for someone who's just reading your book for the first time, or maybe looking at the cover and thinking, oh, I want to grab this, what is Tantra?
We have a bunch of different definitions, but the one we kind of throw out as the simplest one is that Tantra is an ancient Indian tradition that recognizes sexual energy as a source of personal and spiritual empowerment.
Good stuff. And you were talking, like, I've read the book, and I remember at the beginning and a little bit in the middle, you talked a little bit about how Kama Sutra is different from Tantra, and I think a lot of people confuse those two. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, you're right. They confuse the two because they come out of the same culture, but the Kama Sutra is basically a marriage manual. Or sex manual. So it doesn't have the spiritual component or the specific goal of attaining connection with the divine.
And it's much more focused on positions and techniques and, what type of genitalia fit together well and things like that. And it's really not a part of Tantra.
What we like to point out is you can practice Tantra and you don't have to be able to put your leg up behind your head.
I love that. Okay, and there's one part where you say, and this really resonated with me, you said, we Westerners have a very complicated and uncomfortable relationship with pleasure. Can you speak a little bit about how people relate to, or possibly uncomfortably relate to, pleasure in our society?
I think it's because of marketing. It's dangled in front of us. It's like you can be happy once you buy this next item, yet we're taught to feel ashamed about our sexuality. And it's kept clandestine.
And pleasure is, as Patricia's saying, it's either something that's secret, it's guilty, it's something that you pursue and you never quite have.
Or filthy, dirty, and the only thing you do with someone you love.
and that's, we kind of have this mixed legacy of, between the Christian tradition, which tends to look at pleasure as something that's bad, and capitalism, which tends to use pleasure as a marketing tool. So we're sort of bounce back and forth between these two extremes.
And what happens is, people never really get a grounded sense of who they are as a sexual being. And one thing that is not presented in our culture is that there's no one right way to be sexual. We're all so different in what we consider erotic or a turn-on. It's hugely varied, not what the cookie-cutter Hollywood wants us to believe.
Those 3-minute, no lube, no foreplay, mind-blowing sex scenes that just never happen in real life, right?
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
You talked about people being comfortable. Can you talk a little bit about self-love? Because one of the things I like about the book is with the exercises, and it's slight manual, slight workbookish, and so it's a good way of getting people comfortable with even talking about their own sexuality.
It all begins with loving yourself. And in Tantra, the classical tradition, the idea is that everybody is an embodiment of the divine. And so we approach our partners with an attitude of reverence and worship. And we have to begin with ourselves, developing that attitude toward ourselves. Because you can't really worship someone else until you really are in love with yourself.
And once that happens, you really kind of express that with your partner, and that becomes a microcosm of how you behave in the world as a macrocosm.
Very, very true. And how did you both get interested in Tantra, and how did you get introduced to it?
I think we both wanted better sex, right? Who doesn't, right? And also, we both had a sense that there was some real power in our in the sexual arena. Why not learn how to cultivate it, harness it, use it to expand? Okay.
Yeah, same here. I mean, as a teenager, my early sexual experiences.
Video or the camera?
Video.
As a teenager, my early sexual experiences, I would have times where I'd have something really profound happen. But I couldn't make that happen by choice. It just seemed to be a random event. What got me interested in Tantra was that it promised the ability to make that happen at will. And that's, through my studies, it really does.
That's true.
It works.
Yeah.
Good stuff. What would you like people, because book publishing, for those of us that are in, for those of us that are in media, publishing, things like that, getting an article sold, getting a book published, these aren't things that happen automatically. And so when you get a book published, you're all excited, and it's like you want people to read it. What are one of the things that you, or a couple of things, if there's more than one, you would like people to walk away from your book with some understanding? What would you like them to? What gift would you like them to have as a result of reading your book?
Oh, wow. I mean, this book evolved out of an online course that we devised, and it was a 7-week course, and what was happening with our students, they were giving us feedback like, this is life-changing, I'm experiencing pleasure in such ways I never dreamed possible. So a sense of expansion in that area, I don't think we have to say exactly how.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out. I think also, for me, a lot of this is about reverence and appreciation and discovering the ability to treat every moment that we experience as something really beautiful and special. And the tantric approach to living really makes that a possibility. It also can really transform the way we think about relationships. It's another really big thing that I'd like people to take away. Is to think that relationships aren't about getting my needs met, they're about each of us helping the other and taking each other higher and higher, rather than, she's going to give me something tonight.
Even if she does.
Even if she is. Yeah.